informative session. He will handle a session for all of you. Definitely this session is going to be enlightening session for all the participants. So I wish all the participants from different colleges, staff members, research scholars, and PG students, even undergraduate students, I hope they are participating in this webinar. So I wish all the participants a success for this webinar as well as the webinar going to come in future by the Department of History. I also congratulate the head of the department. I already taken the name of head of the department, history department of our college, and also coordinator, Professor Deepak J, and Dr. Sree Vidya, Dr. Binu, and we have Professor Jinsi. So all these staff members, really they are excellent in their academic work as far as our history department is concerned. We are very proud of them. They are doing very good academic programs, academic reaching for those people who are wishing to make their academic excellence. So I once again congratulate the department staff members and also wish all the success for the participants, and finally I say goodbye and best wishes. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for your words, Dr. B.P. Aravinda. Thanks for coming and did this felicitation speech. Now I move to the main session. Then the star of this night, Dr. Manoj Kumar PS, who is going to deliver his lecture on transformation state and Jati in colonial Keralam. Hello, Dr. Manoj Kumar PS. Now floor is yours. Please, sir.
Okay, thank you, Deepak.
Okay, sure.
Am I audible?
Yeah, yes, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. So, I have some net issues here, so I am not going for an elaborate discussion on historiography or other things. I will just give some vantage points on the total historiography and give a summary of what has done before my work. See, the caste studies in India, it took a prominent shape during the colonial period with the studies of Du Bois, and after that there appeared so many studies which focused on the caste system, Jati and Varna. One of such prominent studies is of Dumont, Louis Dumont, and he relied on the hierarchical model of caste system in which status is determined by the purity and impurity. It draws a clear-cut dividing line when explaining the relations of power to status and also of purity to power. This model also draws on the dharma or religion as a binding force. After him, a breakthrough in the caste studies appeared with the studies of M.N. Srinivas, who also relied on the hierarchy as the nature of jadis, which is expressed in the idiom of purity and impurity. He observed that the ranking in Jati system is based on the ownership of land and states that the role of dominant caste in the caste society. He argued that a sort of mobility is seen within the Jati society which can be traced through the process of Sanskritization. A next major leap came with the studies of Nicholas B. Dirks, who found colonialism as the producer of the new forms of society and observed caste as a term to systematize diverse forms of social identity and organization in India. He also challenged the Brahmin-centric hierarchical system. A deviation in this study came with the studies of Maxim Marriott, who viewed castes as ethnic groups within a larger society. He stated that each of these castes tend to occupy corporate ranks in the relation to each other and marry endogamously. He observed that the caste has influenced the growth of development in the Indian civilization. Then a major shift from the hierarchical studies and in the hierarchical study, in the genre of hierarchical studies came with the studies of Raheja, who focused on caste social dynamics of the village of Pahansu. She argued that she argued about the centrality of judgments. She tried to understand caste in terms of centrality and neutrality, and observed that the right of judgments to make prestations and obligations of caste groups, including those of Brahmins, to receive this, and she changed the focus of caste studies to some other elements with respect to the hierarchy. Another major break came with the studies of Ronald B. Inden, who opined that the bodily define the features of Jati or Kula. He also attempted to tie up the code of conduct with bodily substances. A gender deviation to the caste studies came with the studies of Uma Chakravarti, who observed that the class, caste, and gender are linked with each other. Her argument is that the structure of marriage, sexuality, and reproduction forms the basis of the caste system, which is also the fundamental aspect of generating inequality. It is also through the tightly controlled system of reproduction that the entire production system is controlled and the inequality is maintained. See, I was giving a bird's eye view to the total historiography, and the selection of these scholars has a subjective element in this. I know that, but the objective of this selection and presentation is not to analyze the views of the aforementioned scholars singularly or to present a critic for these studies. My attempt was to analyze the nature of viewing caste, jati, and varna by the scholars and the scholars on caste generally. So, a close observation on the working of the caste society from the lived histories and the knowledge base upon which the caste constructs its ideological and historical basis and footings it set for itself clearly shows that the observations made by the aforementioned scholars are applicable to Jati. But the problem with those studies are, as stated earlier, that these studies feature Jati and not Jati itself as a whole. So, to analyze this, say, take for example of Duman's vision on caste. He finds caste as hierarchy, which is guided by the notions of purity and impurity. When the caste is observed, the indebtedness of the institution to the notions of purity and impurity and the ideology sprouted from those notions could never be minimized. Avoiding the notions of purity and impurity, the existence of caste-based society was unimaginable to him. So is the paradigm of hierarchy. Hierarchy is latent to the caste system. Who is in the upper strata or who is in the lower strata may be debatable issue, and the issue was decided mostly by the power pressures of the locality and of course the context in which the power is addressed and the participants who foster the context. And coming to the observations of Dirks, the castes occupy corporate ranks within them, and that the marriage systems they follow are endogamous, cannot be challenged. Similarly, the right of the dominant landowning caste to make prestations and the obligations of caste groups, including those of Brahmins, to receive these are also latent features of a caste structure, according to him. The bodily substances defining the Jati and Kula and the code of conduct entwined with the bodily substances are the base of the theoretical formulations of Varna Jati universally. The propositions of Indian in the circumstances are relevant from the book knowledge point of view on Jati and Varna. When we go through these observations, we can see that the elements which these scholars have projected are in a way relevant to the caste system as such. But, and these all observations address caste from the domains from where they view it. An important element which is missing in these observations is the intimate relationship of caste structure with the state. Most of the observations regarding the caste, not those presented by me in this discussion alone, maintain an attitude which views caste merely as a social phenomenon having no relations to state. It is because of the maintenance of this view, discarding the political aspect, that the association of caste with the state, that the attentions are diverse to these components stated above. So my focus in this lecture and in the study is to focus and entwine the close relationship of the caste with the state, or to an extent, I would say that the caste or Jati elements or Jati system was an integral part of the state system existed in Indian society prior to the coming of the British administration in India. Let us take few examples which happened in Keralam in the initial decades of the 20th century to trace out the nature of state-caste relations. The first one is the context of a Smartha Vicharam of Tatrikuti. I'm sure that all of you have heard about the Smartha Vicharam of Tatrikuti, which happened in the year 1905 in the princely state of Cochin. This incident is taken as an example because of its relevance as an issue which touched the whole of Keralam. Prior to the formation of the Kerala state, a historical incident in which we see a unified Keralam is the incident of this Smartha Vicharam. No part of Keralam was put outside the purview of its consideration. It could also be treated as the first instance when Malabar, Cochin, and Travancore were integrated during the colonial period. The second one is the context of the Jati reform movement among the Namboodiris. The participants in both these plots are the rulers or the dominant caste representatives and the Brahmins. Take for example of Smartha Vicharam of Thatrikutti. It was an important episode in the history of Kerala. I'm not going into the details of Smartha Vicharam of Thatrikutti by giving an account of the incidents or tracing its otherwise relevant dimensions. My focus of this discussion is on how the procedures were on, how the caste elements were latent in those, how the caste status were recognized, and how the recognition was confirmed, communicated, and executed. These questions are relevant in the context of discussions on hierarchy, power, rights, and obligations with respect to the interactions between the castes. The rules regarding Smartha Vicharam insist that the petitioners should approach the king and should be asked to do the needful, upon which the king will invite 4 Mimamsakas or the scholars in Dharma Shastras and a Smartha and send them to the house of the complainant. Along with these persons, king should send a Purakkoima, Brahmin as the representative of the king, presenting him with a wheel. The duty of Mimamsakas is to frame questions. The questions should be communicated to the representative and the Smartha. During the course of Vicharam or the trial, the Purakkoima should keep silence and sit there, listening to the proceedings. When on occasions he finds the question as improper, the shawl is put to ground. Thereupon the questions will be reconstituted. The reporting of the proceedings of trial was the duty of Smartha. Once the faultless reporting is done, the Purakkoima should go out of the hall. The Smartha was the one to pronounce the Vicharam if the lady is found guilty along with the men who courted her. The king has the duty to settle the lady in some part of the country and provide her with the means for subsistence. King is also to excommunicate the men involved and banish them from the country. The textual dictates are followed in the procedures of Smartha Vicharam is attested by the trial records of Thatrikutti. But the records will give us real dimensions and depths of the dictates. When going through the records, the first thing that captures attention is the involvement of the state in the proceedings of Vicharam. The entire state machinery was used, including the state exchequer, state officers, including the officers of Sarvathikadikar, Tehsil office, police station, and the bureaucracy, the state buildings, etc., to investigate and finalize a petition regarding the chastity of a Brahmin woman. The nexus between the caste and the state was much deeper. The scholar who has studied on this area is Shiba K.M. and she observes it as follows. The trials had to have the sanction of the Raja. Not only this, but the Raja provided the assistance of the officer Purokoima, and in the final stage had to give his consent for the pronouncement of the verdict of Surubam Chollal. At rare instances, when an illam was found unable to meet expenses, the Raja was found to even sanction funds. The trials then were not closed community affairs, but that which were designed to send larger signals into the society reflecting the superiority of the Nambudiris. When the textual and procedural accounts pertaining to Smartha Vijaram are verified, it can be easily understood that the king state exercises a superior position in the matter of caste. Though the king had a ritually inferior status, it did not prevent him from intervening the chaotic situation faced by the ritually superior Brahmins. The Brahmins were also content to submit to the kingship in any of the matters pertaining to the caste. The situation is very much vocal and explicit in enlightening us about the nature of relations between caste and state. Observing the nature of intervention and procedures of intervention of the state in the situation of Smartha Vijaram, we can trace a fivefold exercising of authority of state over Jati. The first one, the dictates in the Shankara Smriti and the act on the part of Brahmins undoubtedly affirms the political superiority of the king or the state. The caste status of the king was not a matter of concern. Shankara Smriti has explicitly asked to invoke the intervention of king in the times of chaos and to find solution for the problem and mend it through the agency of king and state. During the times of peace too, the king was the patron. Moreover, the period under discussion, the colonial period, is the period of various forms of transition in Kerala society, socially, politically, and economically. Some changes were drastic, profound, and deep-rooted. The changes brought about by Marthandavarma and Dharmaraja in the state of Travancore and by Shaktan Tampuran in the state of Cochin were strong enough to shackle the holds of the Brahmin supremacy existed in the princely states of Keralam. These political interventions, along with the Mysorean interventions, have paved the way for the shifts in the political and social positioning of Brahmins and king. The period of present study, that is the transition period or the colonial period, is thus one of the periods of transition in which the social, political, and economic dependency of the Brahmins became so deep. Though their dependency upon kings was an established fact, the religious upper hand they maintained through their ritual status was illustrated relying on the description of Samuel Mateer, which in reality reiterates the dependency of Brahmins even for food in the state. The second point we have to analyze from these records is that the king or the state was the sole authority to intervene in the matters of the caste. The caste elders were permitted to take all decisions pertaining to the caste rules, be it an addition, annulling, or departures from the existing rules. But though they and the body in which they were the members function as the agency to determine the alterations, had a full rights over the decisions. It should had to be authorized, sanctioned by the king or the state. There is an important occasion within the course of Smartha Vicharam of Tatri which substantiate this observation. The occasion is the meeting called by the Raja of Cochin on 9th Idavam 1080, that is 1905 May 22nd at Thrissur Perur, in which the elders and prominent persons among the Nambudiri Brahmins were present, and the decisions were taken on hitherto unknown and unheard Purusha Vicharam, summoning and trying the males whom Tatri had stated as quoted with her. The proceedings clearly recognize the authority of king over the Brahmins and the elders. Prominent members organize the fact that the king has the right to order them. Further, the proceedings note of the meeting is a document which substantiated the full authority of the caste council to decide on the matters pertaining to the caste. The decision to conduct Purusha Vicharam was taken according to the sanction given for the same by the caste council. When the king or the state felt it necessary to take advice on the specific matters pertaining to the entire caste relations, social relations, etc., they summoned the Brahmins or the caste elders and did so. One of the important occasions in the history of Keralam when such a summoning was done was in the context of the opening of the approach roads to the temples to the people belonging to the caste of the inferior status. The note submitted to king, quoting the authority text of Tantra Samuchaya, written in 1426 by Narayanan Nambudiri of Chenamangalam, was the basis on which the permission was granted. The point is, though the king had a superior status and had the authority and power to dictate, still functioned with the advice of the elders of the or the prominent members of the caste council. The third point is that the above mentioned decision to conduct the Purusha Vicharam taken at the Thrissur Perur Council of Brahmins clearly indicates the unbound authority of the king or the state to intervene into the customs, traditions, and even to the sacred texts, the sacred in quote. It also indicates that the king enjoyed the power to direct the caste council or elders to revise, reformulate, delete, or even add norms to the texts or practices provided the caste council or council declared it permissible. In the second example too, we find similar engagements between king and the advisory council. It was in fact a sort of finding a way out from the complex situation emerged in the turbulent context of the decision to proclaim the entry to the untouchable castes into the approach roads of the temples. This could also be seen as a clever tactics on the part of the state to shield its decisions, which would have invited the wrath of the dominant sections of the society. The point is that there were occasions in history when the caste elders or the councils acted according to the demands of the state. The fourth point is that though the elements of intervention are some sort of compulsion, could be traced from the dominant groups, king or the state, when sanctions or caste sanctions were sought for the smooth conduct of the state matters. It could be noted that utmost attention and neutrality was maintained when it comes to the matters related to the problems within the caste and of the persons within the caste. This neutrality and attention within the scope of legality and norms of the age could be traced in the Smartha Vijaram procedures. The involvement of the Purakoima, who himself was a Brahmin, a knowledgeable person regarding the procedures of Vicharam, is concerned within the rights to dissent, is clearly an indication of the use of a jurisdictional power and neutrality of the state. On certain occasions, in the matters in which king decided to stay off from the council, neither he nor his representatives attended it. On such occasions, the reports of the caste councils and the decisions taken by the elders were called for. There was such an instance associated with the Smartha Vicharam of Tatri. After the Vicharam and Surubam Chollal, pronouncement of guilt and declaration of excommunication of guilty people, there was a system of giving pampu, for those who pleaded before the Smartha by making donations at his temple and after performing certain rituals. In this case, after the Surubam Chollal, Muttamana Bhattatiri issued pampu to Shujindram temple, favoring two members of Mallisheri Mana, Parameshwaran Nambudiri and Madhavan Namburi at Guruvayur. The interesting fact was that there was a communication sent by Diwan Venkata Rao to the resident on 12th June 1827 as follows. The Namburi named Trivikraman came to me some time ago and showed an order nature of certain legislatives Nambudiris, directing him to take an oath of ordeal in the pagoda of Shujindram to prove that he is innocent of the crime he is accorded of having committed in the house of another Nambudiri. I informed him of the positive prohibition that exists in the country with regard to the oath by ordeal. I beg you will be pleased to write to Diwan of Cochin to direct the Namburi inhabitants of the country adopting some other measures instead of ordering them to take their wrath by ordeal. There was also a communique from the Minister of Consultation in 1844 referring to the Ghee ordeal, which states that the governor in council observes with satisfaction that the Raja of Travancore has characterized the Ghee ordeal as an improper and uncivilized practice, and that His Highness has disclaimed all further intention of preparing itself revival. It was after all these decisions on the part of the state of Travancore and the communication to the Raja of Cochin that the Smarthan Muttamana issued pampu to Parameshwaran Namburi and Madhavan Namburi. Thus, it could be seen that the pampu was issued for the ordeal, which did not exist at the time of the issuance of pampu. That was a clear case of cheating for two reasons. A pampu, as an order given to a person who was found guilty, had a status of an order to keep the existing orders of the Smartha Vijaram in abeyance till the person in question proves his innocence at Shujindram temple. The existing orders were kept in abeyance till the person in question performed the trial of ordeal. While issuing pampu, Muttamana Bhattatiri was fully aware of the fact that this pampu was of no use, as the government of Travancore has banned the custom. Thus, by issuing the pampu, this Smarthan Muttamana Bhattatiri was letting the excommunicated Parameshwaran Nambudiri and Madhavan Nambudiri to enjoy a bail period which was extended till their death. Further, neither this Marthan Muthamana Bhattatiri was involved in the trial of Thatri, nor did he try to obtain sanction from the king to issue a pump. This created dissatisfaction and ignited rage among the Nambudris of Thrissur Perur Yogam. They filed petition before king. King decided to keep out of such a council and asked the members to decide and intimate the decision taken. The decision to block Muthamana Nambudri and his family and others who associated with him in the act of issuing pumper was taken in a caste council of the elders and other prominent members with the consent of, but in the absence of the king or his representative. This indicates the nature and level of the autonomy of king or the state had given to the caste council. Fifthly or lastly, but most importantly, a matter to be understood is that though the king or the state stood as the settler of the disputes or the patron in the times of peace, he dictated nothing. It is to be understood that the king or the state owned everything, including the persons and the officers assigned to them. This is explicitly pronounced on the occasions when such expressions of possession were necessary. Take, for example, how the king had addressed the Smarthan. In the first official letter sent to him asking him to conduct the Smartha Vijaram of Thatri, the Smarthan was addressed as Nammude Pattachomadirike, my Pattachomadiri, to my Pattachomadiri. Though these factors were latent in the expression and exercise of the deliverance of the power, the autonomy of the caste through the agency of the elders of the caste or caste councils to consider the matters of dispute or settling the chaos were preserved. The king or the state, though, was involved and worked to mend everything regarding the caste, preserved a role of witness for him. Thus, from the above, from what I have attempted to discuss, we can find that the Jati was a way of life which was known to the caste council but unknown to the rulers. It is not regarding the Nambudris alone. The system which was discussed was applicable to each and every caste, each and every Jati in the states of Cochin and Travancore. At this juncture, let us ask a pivotal question. What was the knowledge of the state regarding the caste, the operation of caste, etc.? This will automatically generate a second question. Why was such autonomy facilitated to the caste with respect to the internal affairs? Attempts to trace out the answers to these questions will clearly give us a vision on why autonomy was given to the caste with respect to the matters of the internal system of the working of the caste. The internal functioning of specific caste within the caste structure, the nature of internal relations maintained with the caste, the nature of succession, individual rights, etc., were matters which were shrouded in mystery for people who did not belong to the specific caste. Even people belonging to the same caste were not of unanimous opinions on the functioning of the caste. Regarding the operation of caste, subcaste structure, one of the census reports had made an observation, quote, "The operation of the caste system is to isolate completely the members of each caste or subcaste, and whatever native may know of the customs of his own peculiar branch, he is, as a rule, grossly ignorant of the habits and customs of origin of those outside the pale of his own section of the community. The ambiguity is best shown by the letter submitted to the Diwan of Travancore by the Diwan Peshkar Raghunatha Rao on 7th February 1891 on the question of the right of the succession to the property among the Jati known as Krishna Vargakar or Krishna Madakar. It states, so far the inquiry have up to the present extent to ascertain the rule of succession to the property among the Krishna Madakar, I have to submit that I can find no written treatise prescribing to the rule, nor do I find any priest among them who can speak with some authority. The only alternative seem to me open now is to summon some of the elderly persons of the community and put them a series of questions and record their answers, and from these later to draw out a rule which may be reasonably hoped to be the prevailing rule. This is necessarily a trady method and seems to me at the best the very uncertain gate. The above quote clearly portrays the ignorance of the state officials on the matters related to the crucial issues related to the functioning of the caste rules which actually governed the public and private lives of the people. This clearly states that the dominant sections of the traditional society who wielded the political and social powers and who handled the state functions were totally ignorant of the matter, how the people lived in the society under their dominance and rule. This was mainly because of the practice that the matters related to the people belonging to the particular caste were settled by the elders of the people having jurisdictional powers within the caste. This was not particular to the castes which were placed in the lower ranks in the caste society. Such questioners to detect the nature of traditional power structure, overlordship, nature of extraction of revenue from cultivable lands, etc., were extended to the upper caste people also. The ignorance of the governing or dominant section of the society on the matters regarding the life patterns and social systems of the people they governed is evident from the quote which I gave you. This gives an impression regarding the nature of state and statecraft which existed prior to the advent of British and the establishment of rule or residency of East India Company in these princely states. The ruling segments of Keralam were less knowledgeable on how the people in its territory lived. This is because of the peculiar nature of polity in which the society is maintained by the right Jati laws established through traditions, customs, and laws. At this juncture, a vision regarding the Jati as a political tool of society is to be presented. Jati is to be seen as a tool of coercion. It is to be noted that the autonomy sanctioned was strictly restricted and limited to the caste practices and habits with respect to that of food rituals, dress codes, etc., ensuring that those are not violating any of the existing caste codes or general rules regarding the caste structure. Any attempts to violate the norms governing the caste system were dealt with brutally. Let us take the instance of Chanar agitations, which happened in South Travancore region for over 3 decades. The agitations were results of attack on Chanar women who were converts to Christianity under the encouragement of the missionaries. These Chanar women who accepted the Christian faith started wearing the upper clothes and breast clothes like the upper caste women. The women who were converted to Christianity during the resident divanship of Colonel Monroe were permitted to wear breastcloth as Suryani women wore it. Thereafter, as a result of serious clashes in 1829, the Chanar women were permitted to wear clothes but not to imitate the dress worn by the upper caste. Secondly, let us focus on the Kallumala Samaram. It was customary that the Pulaya women had to wear necklaces made of red glass pieces. They were to wear as much as they can carry on their neck. But the social reformer among the Pulayas, Gopala Das, found it degrading and resorted to prompt the women to stop wearing the Kallumalas. Inspired by Gopala Das, many Pulaya women at Perinad, Kollam, presently at Kollam, abandoned the custom of wearing Kallumala. This act on the part of Pulaya women infuriated the Nayars of the locality, who saw the act as a violation of caste rules. They also rushed into the meeting and attacked the people gathered and started beating the Pulaya leaders. This enraged the Pulayas and they retaliated. They torched 2-3 houses of the Nayars but stopped soon. Nayars, along with the policemen, started hunting the Pulayas, upon which they fled to the forest. This was settled via mediation of Ayyankali and Chenganur Parameshwaran Pillai later on. These two issues, I'm taking these issues as examples, these two issues were taken from numerous incidents of caste violences and atrocities that happened in Keralam in the 19th and early decades of 20th century, to show what the ground reality of the lives of people were during the period under discussion. A bird's eye view may be taken on some more examples. Let us take some examples. For ringing the bronze bell before worshipping, a case was found few Nayar youngsters by temple management at Nadavaramba near Iringalakuda. There are numerous examples which can be cited as a violation of caste rules, to which remedies were sorted before the state. If we go through these incidents of lived histories, we can easily find out the nature of working of caste structure and the measures adopted to maintain the structure. Incidents which are mentioned above and similar incidents which can be delegated from each and every parts of Keralam substantiate and confirm the point that any attempts to violate the norms governing the caste structure were dealt with brutally. A close observation of the incidents of coercions with respect to the caste code violations in Keralam gives us a feel that the mechanism of oppression and resorting to violence were the sanctioned mechanisms to keep the caste structure intact. These incidents give us an important insight regarding the caste vigil which was maintained in the society of Keralam, which resulted in rectifying the aberration or violation of the earliest of its occurrences. Thus, it is clear that the coercion on the part of upper caste people was permitted by the state during the occasion of aberrations from the lower caste people. This was practiced stringently at the local levels without any mercy or consideration as is attested by the incidents which I cited. State had kept perfect vigil only in the matters where violence would spread beyond the places where it was bred. An interesting aspect is that in the early caste conflicts, which happened prior to the formation of caste organizations like SNDP or Pulaya Mahasabha or this Nair community formation, mostly all of them were of local nature and were confined to the areas where they generated. Other side of this phenomenon, which can be observed from the examples which I stated, was that the moment the state intervened in the situations and declared decisions, the violence and social tensions were released. Take, for example, the classic example of Kallamala Samaram at Perinad. Violence was at its zenith. Pulayas torched 2-3 houses of Nayars. Nayars were enraged. Their rage burst out, demonstrating the brutality of all sorts, including torching of hamlets of Pulayas, hunting them in the hideouts of the forest, jointly by upper caste and police officials. But it should be noted that once the state mediated with the violent sections through the prominent persons of these castes, like Changanasheri, Parameshwaran Pillai and Ayyankali, the violence started abating. The decision that the Pulaya women would be relaxed from wearing Kallumalas when communicated was never challenged by the Nayars as a community. It was before those Nayars who resorted to violence to curb the aberrations on the part of Pulaya women that the Parameshwaran Pillai called for pulling out of a glass necklace and to free them from the age-old burden of wearing of Kallumalas. It was in front of those Nayars of the locality that the Pulaya women pulled out the necklaces and heaped it before the dais. Nobody who attended the meeting resisted or went violent. In the case of breastcloth agitations too, the following the directions of the state or the king, they were resorting to violence whenever the excesses were found. Finally, when the final decisions were taken and the orders were issued, the caste groups which were hunting the Christian Chanar people in the name of dress codes withdrew and the violence was settled. All the incidents reveal that the same processes was at work. Thus, a close watch of the working of the caste structure in Keralam regions give us an insight that the coercion and resorting to violence were handy tools of the tools at the hand of the state, over which the state had full control, and which were through the agency of caste structure, be it within the specific caste or among the caste hierarchy. It was into this structure that the colonial intervention was made, and serious alterations were made to this total scenario. A total transformation occurred with the intervention of the colonial administration, and the native rulers had to adjust with the changing scenario which was formulated by the British East India Company or the British administrators. I'm concluding with these remarks. Okay, thank you. Thank you for calling me and allowing me to present this paper. before you. Thank you.
Thank you for your wonderful lecture, Dr. Manoj Kumar. Then the floor is open for question and answer session. Then, as did in the earlier session, you have two options. You can type here on the comment box, or you can ask directly to Dr. Manoj Kumar your question. Then he will answer. Hello, sir. You are ready? Hello, Dr. Manoj, sir. Are you ready?
Yeah, I am here.
Oh, okay. He's there. Then you can type as you did in the earlier session, or you can ask him directly, because it's very, familiar topic for people from Kerala. Then you can ask. Participants is waiting for your questions.
Dr. Manoj, can I ask a question now?
Sure.
Hello? Hello?
Sure. I am hearing. I am here.
Okay. Sir, as far as our Indian society is concerned, the very spine of the Indian society is caste. Caste has been the very determining factor at all levels. And I look at caste as an organic whole. Not only now, it's from the beginning. They have made it in such a way that it forms as an organic whole. So wherein the power and the religion and everything they go hand in glove. So in that way, certainly the state and the caste council always determined. They were depending on each other for the sharing of power or safeguarding the power. And that's how they maintain the real power structure within them. This is what I want to share with you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. You're you are perfectly right.
Thank you.
And what is missing is the whenever we say the caste as we see caste as an organic whole. It's functioning side by side with the state is to be addressed. That is that's the point which I made here.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you,
for
sir.
the comment.
Thank you.
So, Manoj, sir, there is one question from Suraj here. Sir, from these views, can we consider that colonial administration only had an indirect role in the transformation of society? Do they have the role to just make a status quo in society? That's the question. You can see it in the comment box.
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay.
No, colonial intervention was much bigger than what we have to understand, because the problem with our understanding is that our understanding focuses on the so-called Renaissance thing that converted or transformed the caste society into a righteous society. But it is not so. It is through the administrative sanctions and the notes which the British officials communicated with the state, and the reports which they generated through their yearly administrative audits, which were available to the learned persons via gazetteers and publications, which boosted the spirit of rights in Keralam. It's something else which we have to find in the right, in the scenario of rights, or the making of rights, or the shaping of rights in Keralam. The British intervention was much bigger has much bigger dimension in this. They were asking why you are not allowing these people to walk through the roads. They are human beings. Why are you not treating them as human beings? These questions ignited the upper stratas or the reformers of Kerala society, who took these questions which were generated by British officials and imbued into the social reform programs, their programs. It is to be noted. And an important terrain which is to be noted is the temple entry struggles in Kerala. Am I audible, sir? Yeah.
Yes.
Temple entry struggles. The temple entry struggles were not focused to every temples in Kerala society or in the Travancore or Cochin states. Those were directed to the temples owned by the state, not the private temples. They were not demanding the entry into the private temples. Their demand was that they have the right to enter into the state-owned temples, because the early reports of the presidency of Madras has clearly stated that the voluminous amount spent from exchequer of the states of the princely states to these temples. So it is the state property, and explanations were given. Why are you wasting these temples, feeding these Brahmins and giving them dakshinas? Why can't you take these amounts to the structural improvements? You can make roads which could be used by everyone. These communique or these reports which were available to everybody who know English inspired these people to make demands for this is only one terrain of the rights which they argued. It is like that in the demands for a job, property, everything. So the involvement of the British in shaping of the rights or instigating the desire for shaping the rights is very much, not so little, or they were not keeping the role to just make the status quo of the society. They were breaking it from within. Thank you. Thank you for the question.
Thank you very much, sir, for your answer. I think Suraj, we got the reply. Then anyone else?
Sir, can I add one more point? Just what you answered.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
The question that Suraj asked, as you said, the Renaissance, the ideals of Renaissance, the modernity, colonialism, these three factors have really made a great impact on the traditional Indian society. Modernity and the Renaissance ideals and the French Revolution, all those factors, republic, democracy, liberty, all those factors really have made a great impact on the Indian society. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Thank you.
An interesting fact is that when people were giving memorials as Irava memorials and Malayali memorials in Travancore, there in Malabar, the administration was keenly interested in giving pensions to people who served them. That's the difference. Here, they were not getting jobs. The well-trained people, as doctors, revenue administrators, they were not getting jobs in the princely states. Where in Malabar, the British administrators were thinking of giving pensions to the people who served them. That's the difference. And this broke the very concept of right among the people of Travancore and Cochin. Okay, thank you.
Any more questions?
If there are any questions, not to stick on to this session, you can you can feel free to call me anytime. I'm here very much.
Oh, thank you.
This session is not the end; it is only the beginning. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I think Vijayalakshmi teacher is with us.
Yeah, she's the.
I should thank her because she was the first person who read everything which I wrote. Okay, thank you, teacher, for attending this session. Thank you.
I hope there is no more questions. Then, as Manoj sir insisted that he is here, he is working in Colonial College. So, anyone has doubt, you can contact him directly. We can provide his email. Then, if you want, the organizers can provide that. Anyway, I am moving to. Anyway, thank you very much for Dr. Manoj sir for coming here and spend your valuable time. And you did a wonderful job, great job. Then did a wonderful lecture too. So then I am moving to the final section of our 3-day international webinar. We started yesterday 8:30 a.m. morning. Dr. Manoj Kumar PS session was our third session and the final session. I hope the sessions were really interesting, even though there was a little bit, technical issues in the first session. But it's okay. Then it's a winding section, the terminating section, the final section. Then that's a vote of thanks, as you know. I am Deepak, the coordinator of this program from the part of Christ College, here to deliver the vote of thanks lecture. Then this 2 days international webinar was quite a scintillating experience. It was really productive and informative, as I think, I believe. You also believe so. Our scholarly resource person forced us to think differently and again in a constructive manner. It was really a learning experience for each one of us. From the position of coordinator, or also from the position of history department, from also in the position of as representing a member of faculty member of Christ College, I would like to offer sincere gratitude to some members, following members. And I do step by step. Sorry. Then first I would like to convey my thanks to our beloved resource person. First, my own professor, Dr. Eve Levin from University of Kansas, USA. She's a professor emeritus there. For coming, she's not here, but she's not in the lecture today. But in her absence, I offer her our sincere gratitude from my department and from my college. The next person, the head of department of history, Government College, Colonial, Mr. Shinas AM. His lecture was morning. I offer sincere gratitude to him in the name of department and college. Then the next person, again another head of department, Dr. Manoj Kumar PS, representing Government College, Thrissur. So thank you very much for coming and having a wonderful section here. And we are grateful to you, sir. Next, I move to my college manager, Reverend Father Jacob Nyambali, CMI. Then thank you very much, Father, for coming and and your blessings. Then next, I offer my sincere gratitude to Professor Reverend Father Dr. Jolie Andrew, CMI, our beloved principal, for his support. He was there for all our sessions. He was very supportive and very much cooperative too. He was there for the inaugural session. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Father, for your blessing presence. Then next, I offer our sincere gratitude to our own Vice Principal, one of the Vice Principal, Dr. Shaju KY from Physics Department. He was there for facilitating session for the today's session, morning session. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your presence. Then again, at last, I offer our sincere gratitude, thankfulness to our own Dean of Social Science and Literature, Dr. Aravinda BP. He was here 1 hour back. And thank you very much, sir, for your presence and your blessings and your speech. Next, I move to our technical section, technical team. First, I would like to offer our sincere gratitude to our IQSC coordinator, Dr. Robinson PP, and his IQSC team. Then I offer sincere gratitude to librarian Father, Reverend Father Sree Francis, CMI, and his team, especially Rindo, because the first 2 sessions we did from library, they did all, even we did trial also from library. The Reverend Father Sree Francis and Rindo helped even in even in like a very early morning and even late night, they were there because that's not their working time. Odd hours. They are there for odd hours because they came especially for our trials and our sessions because American time was late. So the session started very early here, around 8 o'clock. Even the trial also started almost the same time. Then that's not their working hours. They came early. Then they helped us both, our librarian, Reverend Father Sree Francis, and library staff Rindo. I and my department would like to convey our special thanks to both. Then I would like to convey a special thanks to our technician, computer technician, Prajesh especially, and Hari too. Prajesh is here for the last 2 days. Even he's also still here. Again, he's working in odd hour, especially for us. He also came yesterday. Again, he came very early due to this Indian-American time difference. So I, in the name of department, would like to convey our sincere gratitude to Prajesh and Hari. Then I moved to our participants, around 70, we got participants 69 to 74 every session. For this session, it was around 80. Anyway, thank you very much for your patience and cooperation, especially our postgraduate students. They are here for the entire session. So thank you very much for your presence because our lectures were quite long, 1.5 hours, around 2 hours, especially sometimes technical issues and other sort of. Anyway, you are here for entire section. Thank you very much for your presence. There are even participants from outside Kerala. They are attending all 3 sessions. So I thank you very much, and thank you very much for your cooperation and your patience, and we also expect your support again in the coming months. Finally, I would like to convey my sincere gratitude to my own colleagues, my head of department or my boss, Professor Isha Keke, then Dr. Binuyam John, Dr. Sree Vidya, and Professor Jinsiasa for their wholehearted support. They are with me for the entire thing. Then we worked as a team. So I would like to convey my sincere gratitude to all. I don't want to miss one very important person. He's again my colleague, but he's not from history department, but he's from mathematics department. So he's just like our own, the department mate. He's here for all process. I would like to mention, I and my department would like to convey our special thanks and our, what can I say? Special thanks and our gratitude. So I'm late, I'm a bit tired. That's what I'm a bit struggling, but special thanks. I don't get something more because he don't have to come here, but he was with us for entire day, for entire 2 days, even during trial. So I don't know how to say thanking him. So I don't know. I don't get words it's beyond words because he was so helpful. So anyway, our session is, our 2-day international webinar is going to close, going to terminate. This is the final session. We are stopping here. We expect again your cooperation. The coming months we do more webinars, because due to the COVID thing we can't do the seminar thing. We do more seminars. We expect more resource person will come and join with us. So thank you very much for your patience. Thank you very much for your cooperation. Thank you very much for your presence. Thank you. Then there is one announcement. You will get your certificate, because we take some time, because it's again like it takes time, because we have to print separately. This is an international seminar. We take around 2 weeks. Then you will get it by your mail. So wait for that. Then if anyone have any further doubt, you can contact me or you can WhatsApp me. I think you have my number or my department people. Anyone you can contact. Anyway, thank you very much for your presence. Thank you very much for your cooperation. Anyway, I stop here. Good luck. Good night. Bye. Sorry, please fill the feedback link, please.